Hi, my name is Eric Dernbeck, and I have decided to make my first YouTube video, so bear with me. I'm working on a project that my wife had the idea for and put me to work on, and I think it's pretty neat. So I'm sort of started on it and thought this would be a good time to explain what I'm doing. So my first project that I'm capturing on video is a growth chart for our new grandbaby that's coming here pretty soon. My wife got the idea, I don't know exactly where, but she saw different ones of these that you could either make or maybe even buy on the internet and on Pinterest, and she knows that I like to do things, and so asked me if I could do it. So what I've started out with is a really nice piece of pine, and I don't know what the actual measurements on this are. If I'd had to guess, they'd probably call it a 1x8, and it's about 6 feet long. But as you know, with lumber, the actual measurements are something more like 7 and let's see, that 5/8 by a little bit less than 1 inch, and it's about 6 feet long. It's a nice piece of select pine, really straight edges. So that's what I'm doing, and then instead of just drawing the measurements on, I decided to mark them and then actually route them, use a router, and cut them in. So what's interesting about deciding how you're going to mark this, just a little bit about that in case anybody tries this on their own. Marked every 1 inch, and then, as you might be able to tell, what I sort of decided was, in looking at a regular ruler, the marks on a ruler there's really about 4 different lengths in terms of the horizontal length, at least the way you're looking at it here. You got your shortest, you got your one that's it's a little bit longer at the quarter-way, a little bit longer than that at the halfway, and the longest is at the full 1 foot mark. So the way I've done it is each 1 inch mark is 1 inch long. The 3 inch mark, which is the quarter-way, is 1 1/2. And the halfway mark, so this is 2 inches, and then I went all the way out to 3 for the 1 foot mark. The reason why I keep skipping back and forth is because the first mark off the floor, this is going to be a 1 foot mark. I kind of saw what they were doing on other projects, and this made sense, as you don't really start from the bottom. This is actually, the bottom will be a 6 inch mark, because when you hang this on the wall, almost everybody's going to have a piece of trim they're going to want to avoid. So, you know, when you hang it on the wall, you'll measure 6 inches up from the floor and start. So this starts at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this will be your first foot mark. And then, like I said, that's, 13, 14, 15, that's your quarter-way, which is a little bit longer. This is your halfway, so 1.5 feet, which is a little bit longer than that one. And again, the longest one is the foot mark, which I made, instead of jumping up by a 1/2 inch, a whole inch longer. Okay, so as I said, what I decided to do, instead of just drawing those marks in, is to be a little bit more creative, have a little bit more fun, and maybe have an excuse to buy a tool that I hadn't ever bought and always wanted to before. So I decided to route these marks in a little bit, and I'm using just a Ryobi router I bought from Home Depot. I'm not making a plug for Ryobi, it's just was the one that with the price and everything else worked out for me. And I'm using, you can see better probably on this picture, just a what they call I believe it's just a 1/4 inch straight bit. And then in order to make the lines straight, what I did was I built a jig to go over. You can kind of see, hopefully you can, just made it out of scrap wood, and it's designed, I just made it to sit down over my select pine, and then, you know, what you'll do is when you're marking, what I do, you just slide it to an open spot. This obviously was not here the first cut I made. I cut that through, and I just been sliding back through that same spot every time I make it. But I just line up the line, and I've got my jig. And then in order to stop me, I've got this block here, and I've just started it. You can see I've got some other holes. I started with it further out, and then made the longer ones first. So my router ran in this slot until it hits there, and then I just moved this block progressively further in, first 1 inch and then a ½ inch for each of the shorter ones, and then my router slides in this spot, hits the stop, and then that makes the length that I want. Now what's had to do a little bit different here was because the stop is actually this extra little piece, and as you can see, it's a little bit thinner. The reason for that is my router has these handles on it, and if I was just going straight in, my handles would catch there, so I have to come in at an angle, and then that thinner piece allows the handle to slide over that block, and then the router actually hits up against that block. So it actually works out pretty good. Like I said, I just made this jig out of scrap wood, and thought about it a little bit and put it together, and it seems to be working out really good. When I'm ready to route the piece, and I'll have a little bit of trouble showing that on the video because got to use both hands on the router. I just clamp it here. I'm just on the bench there, and my dog, hi Julie. And I just run the router up until it stops, and that's how that's going to go. So if I figure out a good way to take the video of an actual routing pass, I'll do that. It's not a big deal. It only takes a second or two. I'll do that. I'm figuring out that when I'm done, I am going to have to come back through and sand the edges a little bit. Maybe some of you that are more professional carpenters and would know how to make that happen, or perhaps I should have bought more hard wood to do this project. But you live and learn. We'll see. I think it's going to work out good. I tried to sand some of these. You can see that one looks pretty good there. So. Alright, I decided to see if I could go ahead and show a pass of the router. You see how I've got that lined up with my previous mark there. Set the camera down here. The jig is pretty tight, but just to be safe, I always been clamping that down, keep it from moving around. And here we go. And that's all there is to that. Just a lot to do. Okay, so I finished routing out all my inch markers, and I also didn't video this, but I switched my router bits and switched to a, you can see it pretty good here, a round over bit, and with a collet on it. See the collet, and I ran that just around the edge and did a nice little round over all the way around the edge here, all 4 edges. It worked out pretty good. This is my first time doing that. And then I just took some some sandpaper with my hand in, and went along the edges, both edges of each of the lines, just kind of, you know, like this. Sand, got rid of the little hairy sections and cleaned it all up all the way down. That didn't take very long and turned out really nice so far. So now my wife and I, she's going to get involved in some of the creative aspects now, in deciding the numbering, and we'll color either some sort of a wash or a stain to use. So we'll get some video of that as we keep going through this project. All right. Okay, so as you can see, I've taken care of a few steps and skipped a few steps on videoing. This is being my first YouTube video. I kind of got involved in the project more so than worrying about videoing as I went along. I guess I'll develop my production skills as I go through this, I hope, in the future. Anyway, I can catch up pretty easily. The last video I shot, I just finished with the basic routing work and cleaning up some of the sanding, and my wife got involved, as I said, on the creative aspect of it, and I thought maybe we were going to do a stain, and she had decided on the paint. So what we got was we got this, this happens to be from Home Depot again, this Glidden Premium paint and primer, which we didn't really realize we were buying paint and primer when we got it, but we're glad that we did, because it covered really well. And you know, it's a color of your choice. This is like a stone white, is what it's called. And we just painted that with a roller all the way around, and you know, even in the inch markers. And then we bought, to color in the lines, we bought this, it's a Sharpie, it's actual paint, but it's a big, like a paint stick almost, and this is oil based instead of latex. And you can see it's got a really big thick felt tip. When you buy it new, it's not black. You kind of have to start the paint running and it fills in. And this just happened to be, we really couldn't see the tip at the store when we bought it, but it happens to just fit just perfectly inside. You kind of see the dimensions there. It fits perfectly inside those slots, just a little bit shorter than the slots. And I was a little bit worried about how to do this when I first started, and I didn't know if I was gonna you know, get the vertical edges on these slots, and messed around with a couple different ways, and then it was going to take forever. So then I just said, well, the heck with it, and I just pushed that vertical tip down into that slot and let it ride along both vertical edges and the far tips as I went, and you know, just let the paint fill in really good, and I backed it up all the way to the end, and I like that. Turned out really nice. And then when I was done, I had you know, maybe it bled over just a little bit, not too much in a few places, and I touched the pen down some other places, and I just went back after it all dried with a little bitty paintbrush, and you know, did some, you know, close detail work to make the lines straight along a few spots. You know, for the most part, I left it alone, and I think that turned out really good, and in my opinion. And then we also, when we were at Home Depot buying the paint, decided on these particular letter styles. They're 4-inch, and they're made of aluminum. They're black, and I'd say they stand up off of the wood by probably less than 1/8 of an inch. So, and then we just decided on placement. In our case, we decided to, you know, put the numbers going vertically. Some people show them turned this way coming off. You can do that, sort of set it, like set the one like here and set the two turn this way going there, and so on. We kind of liked it like that, and that turned out really well. And then I don't know how we're giving this as a gift. I don't know how they're going to want to hang it, but we bought, let's see it very well. All right, I bought a picture hanger. There we go. You can see I just strung that up and screwed that on the back, and there it is. Done a lot of projects in the past, and I really have decided that I love working with wood, but this is my first YouTube video project, and that's the finished product. Hope you all like it. Thank you.